Hello and welcome to Screams from my studio. I want to talk a little bit about the election. I'm, needless to say, very distraught and upset. I was chugging around YouTube and such, and for the most part, a lot of people I know are respectful and generally pretty good. I think that they made their decision based on false information, but they thought that the information was correct. I can't necessarily fault them for that. I do hope that people learn the lesson, and yes, there will be a lesson to this. I don't care how much you think that Donald Trump is going to make America great again. He's not. This is going to be a disaster. And my only hope at this point is that people actually learn from this. In 2012, Mitt Romney lost. Barack Obama won 335 or 336 electoral votes. The Republicans said that he had no mandate. The Republicans did this thing called an autopsy, where they wanted to figure out what was going wrong in the election. I mean, that makes sense. So, what did they learn from this? They learned that religious intolerance and racial discomfort were problems in them getting elected. As of today, that lesson was never learned. In fact, quite the opposite was just openly encouraged. We now have a president who has had racial discrimination charges brought up against him in his real estate dealings. He has openly said things that, whether or not you think are true or not, are things that a presidential candidate should not have said. And I'm trying to be a little compulsory here, a little understanding of Trump supporters. But you made a mistake. I'm sorry. You made a mistake. To emphasize that more, I would like to talk about a few things that are going to happen here. I've posted this. I'm going to add a few things, but chances are good, now that the Republicans have the White House, the Senate, and the House, that we're going to have a more conservative court. If you live in Colorado like me, maybe you like pot. Maybe the government now is going to do something about that. The federal government can trump state laws. No pun intended. But the reality is, the Republicans tried to repeal Obamacare over 60 times. They now have the House. They have the Senate. And all they need to do in the Senate is eliminate the filibuster. And then they have absolute power. Do you understand this? They have absolute power. There is no check or balance. If the party remains unified, they have absolute power. So, I don't know how long it will take, but it's likely that the ACA, Affordable Health Care Act, Obamacare, is going to be repealed. Now, if they do this immediately, then immediately 22 million people will lose health insurance. I've got an Obamacare policy. I will lose my insurance. I will end up having to pay 4 or 5 times as much for the same shitty policy. Maybe even worse, because, again, we don't know what parts they will honestly keep in repealing Obamacare. But unless they have a bill immediately to replace it, there's going to be a time period. I don't know if they're going to wind down Obamacare or just cut it off at the legs. So that's one effect. Millions of people who have student loans will still have no relief. They will still be forced to pay for something that they may not be able to afford now. College students, or people who are aspiring to go to college, will no longer be able to do that because Republicans don't support student loan programs. So, kiss the idea of going to college if you're poor. If he makes the changes to the Supreme Court, now I don't anticipate them trying to do a court case to overturn Roe versus Wade right away. I think what we're going to end up having is they're going to have to wait until another justice retires or dies. So when it becomes 6-3 or better, then Republican states will put up cases to go to the Supreme Court, and it's likely that they'll take it. Now, if you want to think abortion is murder, that's fine. Not everybody does, and quite frankly, this is not a universal concept. So millions of women will now be forced to carry their rapist child, their incest child. Well, okay, I don't want to be hyperbolic. Millions of people aren't raped. It's like 90,000 a year. But millions of women will no longer have the choice of what to do with their bodies. If they are not Judeo-Christian and don't believe that the fetus is a viable, full human with rights, fuck you. I mean, that's just what it's going to be. Depending on how it's struck down, Roe versus Wade will not have an immediate effect. If it's struck down, it reverts to the states. So your Republican, religious fucktard states, and yes, I'm not going to be nice here, are going to pass laws restricting it or eliminating it completely. Now, okay, here's my take. When they do this, they need to make it the death penalty. If you have an abortion or aided in an abortion, it should be the same thing as premeditated murder. Anything less is a hypocrisy to what you claimed. So if Roe versus Wade is overturned, and let's say it becomes federal, if they overturn it in a way that it's a federal mandate and abortion is outlawed, if they don't make it the death penalty, then you religious conservatives are fucking hypocrites. And I'm getting tired of this hypocrisy because all you wanted to do in most states before Roe versus Wade that abortion was illegal, it was a finable offense. You paid a fine. Roe versus Wade was about a fine. But you call it murder. So if you do anything less than the death penalty for getting an abortion, that's the doctor, the mother, the nursing attendants, they're all accomplices. The doctor's the hitman. Maybe even the father is an accomplice. But if you go for anything less than that, with the power you've stolen by fooling people, then you're hypocrites. You elected a man. Here's the other thing. Evangelicals, take note. You elected a man who hasn't seen the outside of a church, much less the inside of a church, until he decided to fucking run for president. But you wholeheartedly supported him because he said things like, we'll say Merry Christmas in the White House, and we'll preserve your religious freedom. You already have fucking religious freedom. 99% of Congress is Christian. Fuck you. What you want as evangelicals is a theocracy. So, non-Christians need not apply. If you're not religious and not a Christian, fuck you. That's what you want, but you did not elect it. The vice president, maybe. So if you get rid of Trump, you're going to have your theocracy because Mike Pence is a fucking lunatic like you evangelicals are. And yes, I'm sorry, you are. I've tried my best to remain religiously neutral for the most part on this channel, but we're in a new America. The gloves are off. This is Rebel Radio. So you elected a guy who didn't even look at a church. He's been married 3 times. He cheated on all 3 fucking wives, including the current one. He's talked about having sex with his daughter. He's up for child rape next month. And you elected him. The KKK supported him. Maybe you fucking like the fact that at least racists really connect with him. Maybe you do. Who knows? I can't say. The KKK liked him. The former head of the KGB, Vladimir Putin, within an hour of concession, came out and said how much he's looking forward to working with America. No Russian leader has ever done that. You elected a stooge, a Russian stooge. We're still not going to get to see his taxes. We're still not going to know how beholden he is to foreign nations. We still don't know if he's actually a billionaire or not. You elected him, though. You think he's a man of the people because he said the right things. Donald Trump has never been a man of the people. He's never had to be the people. So I don't understand why you seem to think that all of a sudden he is. But you'll find that out. Oh, and unless you're planning on retiring in the next year or 2, fuck you. Now, I'm not entirely positive if this could be a permanent thing or not, but it's entirely possible that if he has a loaded right-wing Supreme Court, they'll run up a case to get Social Security, Medicare, and any other kind of aid programs declared unconstitutional. That means there's no going back! That means if you can't save for your retirement, just fucking die! If you can't go to work the next day, put a gun to your head and pull the fucking trigger. Because there is no way you're going to be able to get around that. If you think wages are going to go up under Trump, you're fucking smoking the stuff in Colorado. Actually, that's an insult. That is an insult to it. You're not smoking anything. You're just fucking ignorant. So, if you plan on retiring in the next year or 2, you're probably safe. If not, you better start saving now. And if you don't have enough, well, fuck you. Because billionaires need that extra $1 billion. You don't understand this. They can't be bothered to pay taxes. If you're on Medicare, you're probably safe. But when you hit Medicare age, after Trump's America, provided we can't reverse it, then you get a coupon. A coupon! You're not even going to be able to afford the drugs with that coupon. If you even get that. They may just say, fuck you entirely. It's you, the middle class, the guys who voted for Trump, who think that he's going to do something that did this. You're going to get fucked in the ass with this. And you got no one to blame for yourself, but yourself. And you're not going to learn a lesson. Because when all this goes to shit, which it will, the Republicans are going to blame Democratic obstructionism, which is impossible. They're going to pass a nuclear option in the Senate and prevent the filibuster. So you've got all the power. You're going to blame something outside of the party. And then continue to do the same thing. Because you're insane. You're upset, you're hurt, and you're acting like mental patients. This is what you got. This is what you paid for. Did you vote against the party that created this gridlock? I don't know if you folks in the middle have really paid attention to this, but the party responsible. I know you all love to sit there and say, well, Bill Clinton signed NAFTA. NAFTA was negotiated under George H.W. Bush. It was passed by a majority of Republicans in the House and Senate against a majority of the Democrats in the House and Senate. And it was signed by Bill Clinton as part of a compromise. That is, these trade policies are not Bill Clinton. So, do you really think the Republicans are going to back out of these trade deals? God, you guys are stupider than I thought. You want to stop the gridlock in Washington. Well, what's the party that filibustered every single bill? What's the party that did not approve or deny Merrick Garland? That's the Republicans. You wanted to fight against the establishment. All you did was send 90% of Republicans back in as incumbents. They were incumbents going into this race, and now they're right back where they were. You elected the same goddamn people that you did 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. You just put that clown in the top of the ticket. Now, I absolutely don't want him impeached. The problem is, this guy could shoot someone in the head on the fucking White House lawn with every television camera on him, and I'd still not want him impeached because his vice president that you picked is even fucking worse. Unless you're an evangelical white Christian. Then maybe you're okay. But if you're not, he's a religious zealot. This country was not founded to be a theocracy. But you are a heartbeat away from a guy who wants that. This is on you people. There's this joker out there, Wild Bill for America. He is just ecstatic about this election. I suggest you go and check out his YouTube channel, particularly his post-election video. If that's what you want, then congratulations. That's what you may have got. Although I contest that Donald Trump duped the hell out of Wild Bill and every single evangelical in this country. The only way you guys are going to get what you want is if Trump dies. Yes, you're going to make America great again. But how fucked are you going to do? How fucked are you going to make it to get to where it's great? Because I have problems with it. History has problems with it. But here we are. This is your America. This is what you created. I'm done with it. I'm an independent. I am never joining another political party again. This is all bullshit. You whiny Bernie Sanders fans, I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, but I did what I thought was right. And if you people voted for Jill Stein, Gary Johnson, which I cannot conceive of why you would have done that, or didn't vote at all, or voted for our dictator-in-chief, it's on you. This is on you. When the stock market crashes, when unemployment skyrockets, and when we're coughing underneath clouds of burning coal, are you going to learn a lesson? Are you going to sit there and go, wow, I think we fucked up by electing Trump? Well, obviously the GOP autopsy shows that not only did you not learn anything as Republicans, but you doubled down on everything that they said was wrong. And don't think Democrats are free from this as well, because you people chose Hillary Clinton. You people cheated. You people made sure that Clinton was the establishment baby who got into this race, because she's a Clinton. She got her, actually, she did not lose by a lot as presidential elections go. But she lost. This was what you said. This is what Democrats told me was the best thing that they could offer. And what did people in the fucking Rust Belt do? They went for the guy who said trade deals are bad. Oh, Bernie Sanders said that. What a shock. And that he wants to bring jobs back to America. Oh, Bernie Sanders said that too. But no, you assured us that Hillary Clinton was the strongest candidate. Well, if Hillary Clinton's the strongest candidate, your party is screwed. I think this is a good time to start talking about dissolving political parties. The Constitution, the Electoral College, was set up to favor two candidates. More than two candidates causes problems. Two candidates is fine. But I think, I know that the Constitution has nothing to do with political parties. That is an independent entity. It is my mission in life to rally against both of these corrupt organizations. Now, I'm not saying don't ever vote for Democrats or Republicans, but what I'm saying is vote for a candidate. Vote for the positions. Don't vote for the letter next to their goddamn name. Let's end political parties. Let's get candidates up there who fight over issues. This election was not about issues. This election turned out to be a reality TV show, and you fucking gave us the reality TV star. I only wish that a lesson could be learned here. Because this morning I talked to my wife, and I said, I want every policy that Donald Trump said in his speeches, every policy I want to go and get passed. Every policy. My intention behind that is not that I support those policies, but I want those to be the lesson. Because when you see the shit that does, my hope would be that you learn. But the Republican Party did not learn from its autopsy report. They doubled down on everything. And the Democrats are not innocent either, because they're going to do the same thing. They're going to evaluate what went wrong. The conclusion they're going to come to is we need to be more like Republicans. So they're going to be the center-right party, and the Republicans are going to be the far-right party. I really do hope that the young people who like to smoke pot, don't get used to that. I really hope that the young people who thought that America is going to be better don't get used to that. And start saving now. I mean, you have to put hundreds of dollars a month away to build a retirement. Can you do that? Can you? So, is any lesson going to be learned? There's going to be plenty of people like me who talk about lessons being learned. But, quite frankly, I don't think that that's going to be. I think we're going to resist learning. Because you guys wanted a political outsider, yet voted in 90% of incumbents. That's called a contradiction. And if that's too big of a word, it means that basically, well, look it up. It means it's conflicting. It means that you say one thing and do another. You wanted a political outsider, yet you elected a guy who ran with one of the biggest political insiders in the party, and then elected 90% of that party back again. So you didn't do anything. You didn't elect an outsider. You elected one outsider. Ooh, I'm impressed. This is on you. But we're going to be Rebel Radio. I'm going to continually remind people of the mistake that you made. And I do blame Democrats. I do blame Republicans. Everybody had a part in this. I blame Jill Stein. I blame Gary Johnson, though they noticeably had very little effect on the election. Just the concept of them disgusts me. I've talked about the Electoral College before, that more than two candidates end up possibly creating ties, or at least no majority. We all screwed ourselves. And we did. I can tell you that. You may not see the effects right away, though I think most of us who have mutual funds and stocks are going to feel some of those effects right now. I'm not even going to look at my balances on that, because I know they're going to take a huge hit. And that's my retirement. That's what Republicans say is the best vehicle for retirement. Individual savings. Well, you guys managed to screw that too. So, it is my hope that a lesson will be learned. It is my duty to remind people of this lesson. I had thought about shutting down my channel and stopping this, because I was like, nobody pays attention. This is obvious that nobody pays attention. Well, I decided not to. I'm going to push ahead. It's going to be Rebel Radio. We are going to be the voice of the opposition, the voice of sanity. And I am going to scream at the top of my lungs every chance I get, every minute point that I can make, in hopes that one day my yelling and screaming is enough to convince you to finally learn a lesson. Fuck the pleasantries. Like, share, or subscribe, or don't. I'm on YouTube at Screams from the Center. You can see me right now on Facebook here. I'm on Twitter at ScreamsFTCenter. Here we are. Trump's America. Fuck you, I've got mine. That's our national motto now. Fight the power. Goodbye.